Hey boaters, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're going to continue on with our Yamaha 225 horsepower ANCEL MR500 diagnostic testing and get this motor running. So will this motor run? That's the question. Will we be able to get this fired up? Now I did just crank it over briefly, didn't have any fuel in it or anything like that. I don't know how long this motor sat for. It was a Marina, took it in on a trade. If you remember when we hooked up our ANCEL tool to it, it only had like 350 hours on it, but it did show lower compression on the bottom cylinders. So it looks like it's showing here I had 171, 156, 99, and 143, 139, and 108. So we're not gonna, haven't scoped those cylinders yet. We're definitely gonna do that, but such low hours, how could we have that happening? So there's no milky oil in it. Actually, I need to put some oil in it because it was shipped, or I shipped it here on my truck, put it on its side, so the oil was drained out of it. So we're gonna go ahead and put some oil in there. And the first thing I wanna do, because we're gonna do both, right? We need to do the diagnostics with the tool, but not only the tool. We're also gonna use old school diagnostics. But the first thing I wanna do here is, I don't know what the fuel was like in this. Maybe it had a fuel related issue. I can go ahead and scope those cylinders, and we'll probably do that as well, pull the spark plugs out at least to check them out. But I can tell with the ANCEL tool if every cylinder's firing, but I want to get it fired up first. But before I do that, I want to flush this system out. Let me show you what I'm going to use. So Mercury makes this. It's quick clean is what they call it. It's an engine and fuel system treatment. Now this will tell you to mix it in your fuel tank different ways. What I'm going to do is I want to get some concentrated amount of this through this, but I don't want it to clog up. I don't want to clean everything out and clog my injectors. So my goal is to first get it inside this the smaller filter here, and then kind of flush through the system before we start sending it through the injectors. So let's do that first, and then we'll get some oil in here, get some fuel in here, and fire this motor up and see what happens and hook up our diagnostic tool. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to take this back cover off. It's missing a couple of bolts, and I just want to see what's inside here. See if there's anything missing. You know, I don't want to start turning over an engine that I know absolutely nothing about and find out something's missing and cause maybe even more damage. You know, there's one I dropped. So we have our coils back here, spark plugs. We also have some zincs we could look inside here and we could pull out. Not going to go that far, but I may just pull these spark plugs out and just take a look at the lower ones first. Let's do that and see what we come up with. As you know, if you've watched any of my videos, I do like to put bolts back where I took them out. This way, I'm not carrying them around in baggies and everything. Now, if I'm doing a complete tear down, I'll bag them up and label them. But if I put them back in here now, hopefully we're not tearing down this whole motor. It looks pretty clean otherwise. So let's get a spark plug out after we get this bolt in. We'll get the two lower spark plugs out and see what they look like. So this was kind of the lowest here as it's written 99, so let's see. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of looking, looks like the timing belt looks fairly new. I can still see all the numbers on it. I'm looking around at electrical connections. And I do have carbon on this bottom one. There's a little bit of corrosion around it. Nothing major. So it definitely is firing. It's a little black. Let's put it back in. And let's check the other one. Then we'll get to that fuel rail. This one actually looks a little bit better, not as black. This one said 108 compression. So I may do my own compression test too. We'll run some of this cleaner through there. Maybe we'll do a little ring free, see if we can see. But I'll probably scope these cylinders with my camera next and see. just looking at things, you know, see if there's any obvious damage or anything. Now the guy I bought it from, old-time marine mechanic, said he thought it was valve issue maybe. So maybe we'll pull the valve covers off and take a look at the clearances and see what it looks like. I don't know. Let me know what you think when you have low compression on a Yamaha 4-stroke 225. I think it's a similar engine as the 250. All right, so let's take a look at those fuel rails, because I want to disconnect the fuel rails and I want to just run some of that cleaner through it. So I start to get things set up here so I can do a little flush. So here's what I did. I went ahead and took one of my paint cups with a top on it, cut a hole in the top, and ran that fuel line that comes off. Now the fuel line goes over to the other fuel rail and then it comes back to this fuel rail. So there is a connector here where I have my gauge hooked up, but I didn't want to flush it through anything through those fuel rails and possibly take a chance of those injectors getting clogged with anything that could be inside my VST or my high pressure fuel pump. Now this may spray pretty violently, which is why I have the top on it and I have it tie strapped here. We're going to have to see how it goes. I haven't done this particular trick before. I've always been able to just kind of let it rip, but don't want to waste the stuff either, and I want to see what comes out of it so we can do some tests and see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead here and fill this little filter with some concentrate of that quick clean, and then I'm going to put the rest of it in a small fuel tank, my little deck tank that I have that also has 2-stroke oil in it and Startron. Now why would I do that? Because I'm trying to get a little lubricant through there too. So I want to clean and get some lubricant in there too, because I don't know how long this motor sat for. He said it was taken off this year, but you never know. I don't want to take that chance, and I don't know what fuel they ran through this before I got to it. So just trying to be as cautious as I can. So let's fill that little thing up. We'll get my little deck tank over here with my squeeze ball, and we'll connect it up and turn the key on and see how it sprays. So we got this loose. Had to get a big pair of pliers on there. Sometimes these get stuck, typically because they almost never get touched. People just forget about these filters all the time. So let's see, probably gonna have to loosen up the top bolts to get it off the rest of the way. Filter looks really clean, so this obviously was maintained. Look at that. Wow. That's a new filter. So inside here has a little bit of dirt. I'm going to go ahead and flush that. I'm going to put this back in here because it's so clean. And we'll flush this out real quick, and then we'll get some of the quick clean inside here. All right, now let's see if I can spill it all over the place. So I just have some quick clean after I flush this out. And let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Yeah, they don't give you a lot of room. It's a good thing I took the front intakes off, because it gets even harder to get inside there, right? So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up, put the bolt back on. Now it doesn't have to be crazy tight because it's an O-ring that seals up inside there, but we want to get it good and tight. And then there's this piece that goes on there that hooks onto one of the tabs so that it won't come apart while you're flying around out 50 miles offshore, right? Show you that. So here we have the tab that it locks onto. We're just going to tighten up these bolts, and then we'll go ahead and put this back on and hook up our fuel with some more quick clean in it, and let's give it a flush. All right, so there's a good concentration of oil. It's probably at least double the oil for when I start up break-ins and everything, 2-stroke oil. So Mixing it with the quick clean is probably a good idea because it kind of thins it out a little bit, but it has enough oil in there that it's going to help. So I'm just listening to this fill as I'm squeezing the squeeze ball, and it's coming right out and flushing. So now I know I have it sitting there and it's filled up, right? So I'm going to let that sit in there, let it mix up, and I'm going to keep flushing it out until I get some dirt out and see if I don't get any dirt out, and I'm going to flush it a couple times. Then I'm going to hook the hose back up, and then I'll flush it through here so it goes through my fuel rails too. But I'm going to let it sit in here with that quick clean for a little bit, and then I'll run it through a couple times. If this is clear here, you're not seeing it, sorry about that. So it is already starting to come out just with the squeeze because it's going through everything. So I'm going to let it sit in there, give it a few minutes, have a little snack, and then we'll go ahead and continue on to flush this. Now, looking at it now, doesn't look too bad. I don't know how much this plastic can handle the fuel. I've left fuel in this before overnight, and it starts to get a little wonky. So I will be putting that in a glass jar, but I'm going to let it sit for now, flush a little more out, because you know we had the concentrated that's sitting in here now, and I don't know what was left over. I guess there wasn't much in there because I got green fuel, which has my oil in it right away, so it was probably pretty empty. So I'm hoping to let it sit in there where the sediment is, and then we'll try this. So we'll continue on with this as we do more. And once I get this flushed really good, I'll let you know what I got out of it and what it looks like. We'll save it in a glass jar. I may, if it stays clean, I may leave it in a glass jar to use it as a flush for another motor, or I'll just buy new stuff probably. I don't know. It's pretty concentrated, so not sure if I would use it again or not. So please like, subscribe, send me any comments that you have, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the water. Have a great day.